Most people who fall in love with a fearful avoidant don't realize they're with an avoidant until it's too late. Because it's very likely that neither you nor them knew that loving your avoidant too much was going to make them pull away and sabotage your relationship. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why this happens and how you can prevent and even reverse it. Now, the first thing you need to know about fearful avoidance is that they have what I like to call a love limit. It's an unconscious maximum on how much closeness and intimacy they can handle before they become terrified of love and pull away or even quit your relationship. And they usually say things like, "You deserve better than me. I'm not ready for a relationship. I just can't give you what you want." So I'll show you how this love limit directly impacts all of the decisions your fearful avoidant makes. If you're unsure whether you're dealing with an avoidant, you can take our quiz in the video description to find out. Now, I'm going to explain to you why fearful avoidants are so terrified of love, drawing from my own experiences as a former dismissive avoidant with some fearful avoidant tendencies, as well as hundreds of stories from my coaching clients and program students, so that you can understand how fearful avoidants tick and then can recognize the signs of them coming close to hitting that love limit before it happens. First, I'm going to explain what the love limit is so that you'll recognize it in your own fearful avoidant. So as mentioned, every fearful avoidant has an unconscious maximum on how much love and closeness they can handle before something inside them trips this wire. And we're calling it their love limit. And what makes this love limit so painful and confusing for everyone involved is that fearful avoidants don't choose it. You don't see it coming, but neither do they most of the time. Carolina, my now wife, then girlfriend, experienced this with me directly. And honestly, looking back, it's not a dynamic I'm particularly proud of. But early on, I had hesitations and doubts. I wasn't sure of what I wanted. And although I was honest about my uncertainty, I had phases of overcorrecting in the other direction. I became intensely present, attentive, romantic, saying all the right things, and the more she responded to those, the more she opened up and became attached, the more I felt secure that she wasn't going to leave. However, something in me also started to panic in those moments. It's like I could handle the chase, the uncertainty, the early stage. That all felt pretty safe. But the moment she was genuinely, openly in love with me, that's when it became too real. Too much closeness, too much doubt, and without fully understanding why, I started pulling away. The same warmth I'd comfortably shown up with just slowly started to fade. My texts got shorter, I became harder to reach. I found reasons to create distance where before I'd been finding reasons to get closer. And Carolina, who had just allowed herself to fully trust me, was a bit blindsided. She assumed she'd done something wrong, that she'd misread everything. But in truth, she hadn't. She had just loved me past my love limit, a limit I didn't even know I had. Now I'm going to show you how that kind of love limit comes to be, so that you can see through your fearful avoidance behavior and know this likely has little to do with you. Mine wasn't built overnight. Growing up, my parents didn't want much to do with me. There were stretches most of the year, actually, where I was largely on my own, neglected pragmatically, and certainly in all matters of love, attachment, and emotion. No one caring about what I was feeling or going through. And when they were around, it wasn't the relief I would have hoped for. So I did what any kid does when they don't have a choice. I adapted. I stopped needing so much. I learned to self-contain, to not reach out, to handle things alone. And I was also fed a story that justified it. I was told I was independent, that I was strong, above any needs and fine on my own, that I didn't really need anyone. And that is a lie. I most certainly needed someone. But what this resulted in is that somewhere along the way, I stopped trusting love itself, not just specific people. Love, intimacy, the whole thing had become tainted. It was something I deeply craved, but not something I trusted. So by the time Carolina came around, someone who actually showed up consistently and loved me openly, I genuinely didn't know what to do with that. Real love felt more threatening than no love at all, because it put my whole upbringing and what I was taught about love into question. So your fearful avoidant will have their own version of this story. It won't look like mine. Maybe it was a different kind of neglect, a loss, an inconsistent parent, a relationship that broke them early. But the result is usually the same. Somewhere along the way, they stopped trusting that love was safe, and that's where their love limit was built. Not with you, but long before. Now, if you're realizing that your situation goes deeper than just these 2 points, and you want a clear structured path for actually getting through to your avoidant rather than just managing the moments, that's exactly what Carolina and I built our attach and avoidant program for. The link is in the description. But for now, let me show you what hitting that love limit actually looks like in your fearful avoidance, so you can recognize it when it's happening. It's rarely dramatic at first. Carolina describes it as a light that slowly dims. I'd be less available for deeper conversations. My texts became shorter, more transactional. There was less warmth, and I was overall less present. And then I would sometimes nitpick at things. Suddenly, small things that hadn't bothered me before were bothering me a lot. And that's a tell, by the way. When a fearful avoidant starts finding fault in everything, it's usually not actually about the faults. It's almost a decade ago now, but there was one moment where Carolina and I had just had one of the best weekends together. Mind-bending conversations, closeness, the kind of connection that felt out of this world special. But in the morning after she left, instead of feeling good about it and closer, I felt this overwhelming urge to create distance. I picked a fight over something ridiculous. She was confused and hurt. And I genuinely told myself that I just needed space. What was actually happening was that the weekend had pushed me right up to that love limit. And I did the only thing I knew to do. I pulled the emergency brake. So if you notice your avoidant has suddenly gone quiet after a really connected moment, that's a sign that they've hit their love limit. If their texts have gone from warm and present to short and transactional almost overnight, that's a sign. And if they're picking fights or finding fault in things that never seemed to bother them before, that's also a sign. And with all of these things, trust your gut. If something is telling you that they have shifted, even though nothing obvious happened, and they might even deny it, trust the feeling, because usually something did happen. You just got close enough to hit their love limit, and what you do next matters a lot. Now, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps to handle the love limit. That, by the way, Carolina and I used with me, and we teach our students now, so that you know what to do next time before things escalate. Step 1 is learning to read the signs early. Don't wait for the full withdrawal to kick in. The shorter texts, the slight irritability they might have, their being a bit more cold and unavailable, those are the early warning signs. Carolina got good at noticing when I was closing in on my limits before I even knew myself. And that awareness alone changed everything between us, because she was prepared to preemptively respond and not have a knee-jerk reaction later down the line when I was already far past my love limit. Step 2, take a step back and give breathing room. This is the hard one, especially if you're anxiously attached like Carolina was, because every instinct tells you to move closer, to fix it, to ask what's wrong. But in that moment, that's not going to help. When Carolina went about her life and gave me about a week for my love limit to calm down, the pressure lifted much quicker that way, and I found my way back to her sooner. But had she chased too heavily, I most likely would have run. Step 3, stop making their limit mean something about you. This one is for your own sanity and mental health. When I pulled away, Carolina sometimes wondered, what did I do? And the answer, genuinely, more often than not, was nothing. My love limit was built long before she came into my life. And the fact that she rarely took my withdrawal personally and started seeing it for what it actually was, me hitting my love limit, made me deactivate far fewer times. And that paradoxically made it safer for me to come back to her much sooner over and over again. And if you're done just understanding the patterns and you're ready to actually change them, with a step-by-step approach built around your specific situation, come check out Attach and Avoidant. Carolina and I walk you through the whole thing together, her perspective and mine. The link is in the description. Okay, so now I've shown you how to recognize when your fearful avoidant is closing in on their love limit and what to do in that moment to keep things from escalating. But preventing them from hitting the limit is really just managing the symptom because their core wound is still there and their love limit will keep resetting. They might still pull away because they still haven't fully chosen you. And deep down, you probably know that. So the real question isn't how to stop them from running in the moment. It's what actually makes an avoidant commit to you without running at all. So watch this video next and I'll teach you what makes an avoidant fully choose you.